Hello, daters. When people are out of balance, they tend to isolate or overextend with social commitments. And because you are people, you might have noticed that you also do this yourself. So today we're going to be talking about how to actually enjoy your own company, because as you can imagine, that has a tremendous impact on your dating life.
Yes, so stick around because at the end, we're going to show you a simple practice to really shift away from that old pattern of distracting and avoiding.
Give yourself an empty evening or notice when plans change and suddenly you don't have something to do, and notice how quickly you distract yourself and what your patterns become.
And it makes sense that we do that. We're uncomfortable with slowness and empty pockets in our day because it never felt okay to be on our own. So we rush to fill it all.
hmm And that might look like scrolling on your phone, right?
Mhm.
Texting all kinds of people, Netflix binging, eating too much, addictive behavior. What else?
For me, it was a lot of academic and career endeavors, like years and years of it. I'd always have a project or a goal or a degree or certification on the go.
Right. And so those sound obviously like healthy, good things that move you forward in life. But there's always a way that our ego can co-opt any healthy activity in order to distract us just from the simplicity of being with ourselves.
Well, they're sneaky because life sort of rewards you for having, academic pursuits that you've achieved. Life rewards you for having a rich social life. And like, I would just convince myself, like, it would feel like I'm doing good in life, which I was, but I was also a master at distraction and avoiding feeling how yucky it felt to be on my own.
So let's look at why that's happening, how it manifests, and what you can do about it.
Yes, for a lot of us, slowing down and not having a life full of plans is when that inner critical voice gets really harsh and really loud.
Yeah, and then all of these shoulds and unpleasant conditioning that we're sitting with.
Yes, for me, the conditioning was I grew up with immigrant parents. The shoulds were you should be working hard, you should be doing something productive. So the idea of being by myself, enjoying my own company is just flat out wrong. I was
Mhm.
conditioned to not even grow the muscle to do the thing that would actually help me in dating and relationships.
For sure. So if any of your upbringing involved people who had any kind of anxiety or fear or weren't just deeply comfortable in their own skin, you've taken on some kind of conditioning there and it's running in your mental patterns. And I remember after I think a few years of doing this work, so that was women's group, it was conscious relationship training, and it was a lot of like honesty and trust and acceptance that I hadn't experienced in my life. And I remember I was sitting at the corner of Kingsway and Victoria in my car and I was having some nasty thought. The normal thought pattern was going on. And that was a pretty self-critical pattern. Should be this, should be that, shouldn't be this. And another voice came in from the right-hand side, like it's a very visceral feeling. Another voice came in with a compassionate, loving message that I can't remember the details of now. It was something like, that's okay. Like, it's no wonder you're feeling that way. And here's a nice thought. And I like turned and looked. I was like, who was that? And it was me.
Oh, it was this new voice you built over time,
Yeah.
right? Because we don't have access to that voice just magically. What we grow up hearing our parents say to themselves and to us becomes our inner voice. And so my inner voice would compare myself to other people because growing up, my parents' way of motivating me was to compare me to cousins and the girl down the street. There was always this, if you got an A, why didn't you get an A plus? So that became my own voice. And who wants to hang out with that by yourself on Friday night? Not me.
Right? Like, as much as we love our parents, and we do, we don't want to hang out with them all the time. And it's partly because of this conditioning that we're trying to kind of separate ourselves from and individuate a little bit from. So if that's our inner monologue, why would we want to hang out with ourselves? How could we possibly enjoy our own company?
I'd rather be looking elsewhere for some kind of voices.
We are not saying that you need to silence this voice or dissociate from yourself. We're actually suggesting that you can become this kind voice. That can be what's happening inside you.
What do you mean? Yes. So we can grow this new, kinder, softer, more encouraging and supportive inner voice that we would actually want to hang out with. It does take, though, getting to know ourselves a bit better because the better we know ourselves, the more we know what would feel supportive and encouraging to hear from ourselves. And when we don't know that, we're going to be at a loss. Like, I don't want to hang out by myself. I don't know how to make myself feel better. And so let me go chase the people who hopefully help me feel better.
Yeah, that's the piece where we're looking for external validation and external information about what we want, what we need, if we're okay, if we're acceptable. When it comes to what you like and how you want to spend your time and what lights you up, all of that information that you have might actually be inherited. It might not even be yours. So part of this getting to know yourself that we're talking about is really about getting to know who you are, what you like, what's important, what you value.
Because I feel like when we don't know that, we don't know those parts of ourselves intimately, we look to other people and we're like, oh, what do you want to do? What would feel good for you? I'm easy, whatever works for me. You just end up sort of feeling gross and not really satisfied, right? You
Hmm.
take whatever presents in front of you and you call it okay, you call it good enough. And deep down, you're like, this feels off. I don't actually love this or like this. And then you try to medicate or fix away that other yucky feeling by distracting or avoiding or chasing another high somewhere else.
So you're simultaneously not able to enjoy yourself and self-soothe, and you're also continuing that cycle of needing something outside yourself to dictate what happens next, to dictate what feels good. And that, by definition, then you need somebody else's company.
That was the story of my life.
Yeah. What did that
I,
look like? What did you fill your time with?
I filled my time with a lot of social plans and hobbies. So for, I'm going to say decades of my life, I would feel very uncomfortable by Wednesday if I didn't know what was happening Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday.
Hmm.
And the thoughts that would come in are, well, I have to fill that time. And the funny thing was, as soon as those plans were made, everything settled. I felt good again. And then you mentioned this at the beginning. What happens when someone cancels? It would be the yuckiest feeling inside. So I'd panic. I'd be like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And this other yucky bit was, oh, they obviously don't like me enough to
Oh,
keep the
perfect.
plan, because I would have never canceled plans on anyone. I would have just
Yeah.
made myself do it anyways. And I would expect other people to do the same. And so there'd be this multiple layer of yucky. And then I'll tell you this later, how I worked with the situation to get to the other side. But the other side was, I get to a place now where when someone cancels plans, I'm like, delightful. I guess I'll do this instead. And it's not because I didn't really want to see that person or wasn't really excited to do the thing. I really was. I'm also really delighted at the idea that now I get to do something else that I really enjoy, or
Mm.
hang out with myself and enjoy some downtime that feels really good. And that was never available to me as an option before because I hated being by myself. I was mortified by it. It was the yuckiest feeling idea ever. And it feels amazing to know that I can have a great time with people now, and I can have a great time with myself.